Today's guest in the studio with us is my sister, my baby sister, Sara Spalding. Sara has, she was a D1 soccer player and ended up having a couple of knee surgeries and whatnot throughout that. And once she couldn't play soccer anymore towards the back half of her career, she ended up dropping out of college just before, not too long before graduation. But she really focused on getting her sales skills up. She was in multiple direct sales companies and is now actually she drives sales of over $2 million a month in a company called Make Wellness, which is an affiliate marketing program with peptides as its featured product. And she takes substantial portions of the income that she makes in her day-to-day job and gets it working for her passively in real estate investments. And so I'm really excited to have my baby sister on the podcast today. All right. Well, thanks for coming and joining us on the podcast today, Sara.
Thanks for having me, bro.
This is my sister, my baby sister on the podcast.
Yep, baby sister.
What's it like losing your income a couple times as an independent contractor?
Well, one time it happened, and then the second I chose to let it go.
It's true. That's true.
Yeah,
all right, the first time, what was that like?
First time, well, you know.
Oh, I know, but everyone
we'll
else
talk
doesn't.
about it. Yeah, the first time it was definitely a shocker because I thought that company was going to be around.
This show's all about like successful people and how, obviously successful people obviously have times of turmoil or things to overcome. And, that's one that sticks out in my mind. And so I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah. I was not expecting that question right out the gate. I love it. Let's get into it.
I didn't know it was coming. We're not messing
around. This is great. Yeah. So, gosh, that was 2019. So we built that first company for about 8.5 years or so. Started when I was 18. And so I thought that I would do that company forever. We were very loyal to that company. It was basically our vehicle to put into our real estate. It's what kind of got all of us going. And I didn't really know what I was going to fully do from there on out. And I'm really glad I gave another opportunity to look and, went to the top to that company I was there for about 5 years. So it took me about a year to do, what took me 8 years to do in our first company. Can I say it? Just say it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we did AdvoCare. So that first company, so we built that 8.5 years. My second company, that took me less than a year to replace that income. And, I was able to do what I love to do, which is helping people at a much greater scale. And the second time around, though, I chose to leave a 6-figure income to be part of a company launch. And here I am today. So
with the first, losing a full-time income as an independent contractor, what was the first, how long did it take you to do the first thing that you did after to rebound? And what was the first thing?
Income?
What was the first thing you did and how long?
Did?
Yeah. What was your first action item and how quickly did you take action on it?
So while a lot of people, when they go through hard times or turmoil, they kind of act out or make impulsive decisions. I kind of sat. A lot of people were trying to poach people, and you really saw the worst.
And for everyone listening, it was a direct sales company. AdvoCare is a direct sales company.
Exactly.
So we were independent contractors, moving the company.
So I kind of sat still for a little bit, and I knew there were companies I did not want to go to. I wanted to be part of something that was unique and different. And so I seeked counsel in that hard time. So I seek some advice from people that I really looked up to, successful people that I've always looked up to, and kind of, I don't want to say I fully trusted, but I wanted to see what other people were doing. And then once I was ready, I looked at an opportunity that was, brought across my desk, and I was blown away by it. Never heard of the company, was really impressed. Heard from the CEO, one of the top earners of the company, and I couldn't believe it, but I got pretty excited about it rather quickly, even though I was pretty confused and sad, and especially when you think you're going to be building something alongside of what you're doing, and it's going to be a part of you forever. Like, that company was around, so AdvoCare was around. We got in year 20, built it for 8 years, and then it went under. It wouldn't go under. It shifted to that affiliate model, which you guys don't know, in the direct sales industry, a lot of these companies end up shifting to that affiliate model, meaning they take away the team building side, the multi-level marketing part of it. And that's what happened to us. So my brother and I, we lost 90% of our income pretty much overnight. And so I knew that I loved doing that. But once I really looked at this one specific opportunity, vetted it out, I knew I was going to go all in. And so I chose to go all in.
Yeah. So. And I know for me, I remember when that call came, I was like, I'd been the person forever, I was always talking about what I was doing with my income along the way, and why I always talked about why I was doing AdvoCare, and that I wasn't just doing it to do AdvoCare, and it's not something I wanted to do for life. I knew at some point that income was going to go away. Now I thought it was going to be like 10 or 15 or 20 years after when it actually did. But like I was waiting for it. I knew it was going to happen. So any dollar that I made, I was very different than most of the people in that company. A lot of the people in that company that were making 20 grand, 50 grand, 30 grand, 12 grand a month, whatever, they would just spend more as they made more. And I saved every penny that I could that didn't go to taxes went into buying multifamily real estate, because I knew that it was just going to go away at some point. I read all the documents and disclosures that we were independent contractors, and the company, as the owners of that company, had all the rights to do at any time. They could choose to change their business plan.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, and I've chosen to change my business plan in real estate before, and it's impacted other people. But that's when you're an independent contractor, you don't own. They these companies a lot of times will tell you that you own your own business and whatever, and it's like, well, not really, because you are an independent contractor, and anytime they can choose to go a different route, and they have every right to. And so I never viewed it as I was never mad at AdvoCare. There was a lot of people like pissed off. I'm like, I'm not mad. Like I knew it was coming, you know? And so I think anytime that you have a sales role, and if it's not a company that you truly own shares in and have a substantial portion of the equity, you should always bank on that income stream going away at some point. And you should take all the money that you earn, save it up, and invest it into something that pays you passively, that you're going to be paid while you don't have to actively go do anything. And that was something that a lot of people didn't do because they were scared that, oh, I'm going to make the wrong investment or, whatever. Well, what happens when that income's gone and you didn't do anything to proactively replace it? By the time AdvoCare was done, it was paying me somewhere between, depending on the month. At the height, I think AdvoCare paid me like 12 grand a month. But like towards the end there, I'd already started to phase out a little bit and just not do as much with it because of the real estate business that I was building. But it was still paying me between $3,500 and $7,500 a month, which is substantial income. But like when it went away, I didn't have any fear in the world because I'd already replaced that multiple times over from the earnings that I made in that company, now working in investments.
Well, we were probably one of the very few that had investments,
Right.
So there was that in the back of my mind. Like, thank God we had started investing the money, because at that point we had been 7-8 years into Spalding Group. Investing that money. So
I was 6. I had made my first investment 6 years prior.
But definitely part of the plan, because it actually, back then I didn't see the writing on the wall as much. There definitely was signs, I think. And so it prepared me for this next journey and season of my life, because I saw the writing on the wall at my last, company I was at. And a lot of people didn't see it and were being lied to, manipulated. And so I took that and gathered that information and made a decision. And I'm really glad that I left, because just less than a year later, they closed their doors.
Right.
And now, here I am earning 10 times the income, helping 10 times the amount of people. And we kind of left on the lifeboats from the sinking ship. That's kind of how I view it.
Are you able to share how much in sales your organization does? Each month or year?
Yeah. So we're doing $2 million a month in volume. So that's 24 million a year, which when you really think about that, it's a lot of products being sold and people being helped. And my biggest sales revenue month, my former company, was close to 600,000. And that was after years of being there. So even in our first month, I think we did just over 2.5 million, but that was more of like a launch month. But outside of that, though, we are just continuing to grow, or just really scratching the surface with it. And so that's also too, just kind of being in these two first companies and joining one company year 20, doing decent. And then joining my second company year 8 of that company. Now here I am, helping launch a company that's really making history. And I wouldn't probably have seen that opportunity if I hadn't been through what I went through.
So what's the difference between someone that sells $20,000 a month versus someone who sells $200,000 a month versus someone who sells $2 million a month? What is the difference in those people's actions, mindset? What separates those three categories?
So with my organization, I definitely have more of a leadership role. I bring people into the business that I know can really monetize their platforms. They want to diversify their income. That's what I'm really good at. And I also mentor a lot of people. So you have those types of people that are more of like the builders, and they bring those people in. And yes, of course, I sell the product, but that's where I make 95% of my income, is bringing in networks, tapping into other people's networks and blessing people with the opportunity. And then we have that other part of the business model where there are people that come in and, there's people selling 50,000 in their own personal sales, 100,000. if it's over 50,000, they're making 40% of those sales. So I'm more so tapping into the residual income side of things. And I definitely provide a lot more leverage for myself, as I keep building and helping people. I mean, my business is always running. The business is always running, right? There's always products being sold, people signing up. So there's two kind of differences there. And there are actually some people that are really good with, if you want to call it team building, the team building side, and they also are really good at their own personal sales, and they'll just make, even more money. They're kind of tapping into the two engines.
Well,
if you want
more
to call
money
it.
on a percentage of each dollar, but not necessarily more money.
If they're doing a lot more in their own personal sales, they'll make significantly more, on top of the team building side, and bringing in.
So what's the difference in mindset that you have?
Yeah.
So someone that does $20,000 a month volume or revenue, $20,000 a month volume,
Yep.
to someone that does $200,000 a month volume, to then again someone that does $2 million a month volume.
Mm-hmm.
What is the difference in like mindset, the type of person, the day to day? Because again, that's three different, like you're 10x each time, right?
Right.
So $20,000 a month volume, $200,000 a month volume, $2 million a month volume.
I would, oh man, there's a lot of answers I feel like I could share with that. I would say the main contributor to people really just really growing and, doing what I'm doing, it's a mentality of first off, you can't have, we're gonna have to cut this part out. I'm drawing a blank.
You're fine.
I don't want to bash anybody. I don't want anybody. I'm trying to think of, because my team's going to listen to this.
Well, let me ask you this.
It's not really bashing.
No, it's not
at
bashing, but I just want to make sure I say it right. Dealing with a lot more people, I don't want to have.
Well, but if someone's truly doing 20,000, then they're sitting here like, well, how do I do 200,000? I mean,
that's the thing.
Like,
it depends on what do they want to get out of it?
Yeah, what they want to get out of it. Yeah,
it's not his.
No.
Okay.
And I mean, sometimes you have to hit people square between the eyes, because like if they want,
I
there's
agree.
some people that do $20,000 a month volume, but that's all they want to do. That's
exactly.
fine. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yes.
And it could be they're doing 20,000, but they've been here for a month.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that,
you know what I mean?
There's
There's a time factor.
Yes.
Like where you are at and the success you were having 24 months ago. How different are you compared to where you are right now? Is it that drastic of a difference?
I get it. You don't want to slam Joel.
Or are you? Oh, I'm okay with it. It's my life story, man. Totally used to it. Or is it a opportunity situation? You know what I mean? Because are you 10x what you were as a person and as a leader 24 months ago than you are now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So do you want me to start?
Well, we're probably not cutting anything.
I'm not cutting any of that.
I think it worked good.
Okay. I mean,
I like
we
just had to reframe.
This might be my first time not knowing the answer on a podcast.
Dude, no, we let her rip.
I know that. I mean, okay. So first off, it's just a go-getter mentality. There's highs and lows that people deal with, and a lot of people make excuses, and they really, I really just believe it's just a go-getter mentality. Like you have to work your butt off. You can't let the little things get in your way. And it's not easy. Like anything great having in life, anything that is going to change your life, it's going to be hard. And that's why a lot of people don't do it. They don't have either the discipline, they don't have the vision for it. So that's why I spend a lot of time mentoring people, especially the ones that, seek me out and have the potential. We really get in the trenches with them, and I ask those hard questions and what they really want from this. And so I'd say it's the go-getter mentality, having a vision of why you're really doing it. It's not just, I want to make some side money. Like I want this to change the trajectory of my life. And I will say I'm really good at helping set that path for people that really want it. I'm really good at meeting them in the middle, getting in the trenches, like I said, with them and helping them achieve those goals, reverse engineer those goals. But I'd say the ones that don't really grow over time are just the ones that either settle, they don't have that go-getter mentality, like I can do it, I believe in myself, and they don't have the vision.
Yeah.
So there's multiple things that go into it. And also where I'm at today, Joel kind of mentioned it. I mean, it's over 13 years in the making. So I've built my credibility. I've built my influence over time. And it's not really always about like what company you're at in the product. It's about your influence and people wanting to be part of what you're doing and where you're going. So as a leader and as a person in this industry, or a leader and a rep in this industry, you have to also know where you're going for people to follow you.
Yeah. The biggest thing when this was my main thing, the biggest thing I saw is so many people would get amped up about what they ultimately wanted, right? but then they'd give it like 2 weeks and they got 4 no's. And it's like they would just fizzle away, and it's like, well, yeah, you at that point you weren't meant to have the success that you wanted, right? You thought you thought you wanted it, maybe you did want it, but you didn't really want it.
And honestly, it isn't the person that could handle the success if they got it.
Amen.
Right.
Yep. You know, I mean, they turn around. There's a lot that comes with.
There's a lot that comes with 2,000 apartments. I promise you that.
Exactly right.
And some of the stuff I don't want to have to deal with every freaking day.
People,
but it's a part of it.
People would not be able to handle what I have to handle every day with the people that I work with, and so that's a whole nother thing too.
But it's also that it's such a short time period of 2 weeks or a month, and like that hockey stick, you don't see that hockey stick unless you're zoomed out over a 3-year, 5-year, 10-year period. Right. Because even and the crazy thing is, even a 10-year period doesn't look like a hockey stick. That portion won't look like a hockey stick anymore once there's another 20 or 30 years. Right. Because now you're looking at 20 or 30 years, and now like that hockey stick growth of where you were at, that initial 10 years is like a flat line, basically, right? In all perspective. Like if I look at my net worth on a 15-year, it's a hockey stick. Right. But when I just look at, and I keep that 15-year outlook, and I look at the first 4 years, it's pretty flat from that vantage point. But if I go back and just look at the 4 years, and that's the only thing left on the graph, that 4 years is a hockey stick.
Sure.
Right. Yeah. So your perspective is also wrong, and you need, it's the wrong perspective, and you don't give it the time. It's obviously the effort that needs to be duplicated over time to accomplish it. But a lot of people don't give the effort or the time. And some people give a lot of effort right out of the gate. But like, that's the effort you need. Like you have to get kicked in the mouth, in the face. For a long period of time sometimes. And long is, it depends on how, I mean, that's very objective as well, because it's like, wait, objective or subjective? What's the opinion one? Subjective. It's very subjective as well, because, I mean, I'm like, man, I can put up with a lot of pain for 5, 6, 7 years ago, because I did through real estate, right? There's some people like, I couldn't do what you do for 7 days. Well, that's a problem. Then you're not going to have the same result unless you are very, 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 very lucky somehow and win a lottery. Right.
Well,
I was just but again, look at how most of them turn out.
Yeah, right. When I would say my perspective is a little bit different too, because
again, it's not good or bad.
Yeah,
correct.
Right.
I'm not saying it's good or bad. It's just saying, if you're complaining about the result you're not getting, look at some of these things that we're talking about here, because that's probably a good reason why.
Right. Well, my perspective too is it's really simple what we do. I'm not ever going to tell anybody it's easy, but most companies, most business, for people to earn what I earn, I mean, what you'd have to do in an actual business, it would take most likely years and a lot of expenses. I mean, we grew up in an entrepreneur family, so we're a little aware of this. Like, Dad built an incredible company. And so all we really have to do here is impact people, serve people, and the company does the rest. And so I do like that a lot. It is a cash cow. It really is, if you do it right. And so if you have that mindset of, hey, I'm going to go help people, it's not just about you. It's not just about what, you're setting out to do. It's also about helping others. And I think that takes some people a while, because they're just focused on what they want to earn, but they forget, like, well, they don't even know that it's about other people. Like, how many people did you help along the journey, even in AvoCare? We were helping a lot of people. So that's part of it too. And then I do set an expectation when I'm helping people. It's like, hey, you're going to be putting effort into this business these first couple of weeks, these first few months, these first few years. You might not always see that money. You're not going to see that money come in right away. This is not a job. You're not trading hours for dollars. But what you're doing now, if you stick and stay, if you be consistent, that will eventually grow and compound, and you're going to keep making money from the work that you did in the past. So I do like to set that expectation, because it's not a job, right?
I think about real estate all the time. I've mentioned this a little bit, but like in real estate, if you get 60 properties, I'm like, I got 60 properties on average, a lot of times those are 5-year term loans. Right. So how many months are over 5 years? 60. Right. So that means on average, you're going to refinance or sell. Because when your loan is done, it's called the end of the term, right? And the term, it goes to maturity, so you have to pay off that loan. So that means you're either refinancing or selling. Well, when you refinance, a lot of times you're able to pull. I mean, there's been refinance deals where we've pulled $75,000 in smaller deals. There's been refinance deals we've pulled, $3, $4, $5 million out, right? Well, if you get to the point you have 60 properties, on average, you're going to have one refinance event every month. Right. So you're getting paid for the stuff that you did a long time ago. It's another example of how you're getting paid for the stuff that you're doing today. You're not actually getting paid today on it, but man, you're going to get paid a lot, because those properties cash flow, monthly. But then on top of that, you get a bigger check at once, whenever you refinance. right? And so if you have 5 properties, okay, well, because that's more manageable for some people to think about. Okay, well, once every year, you're gonna have a property. You're gonna have once every 12 months on average, you're gonna have a property that needs to be refinanced, which is where you're getting a bigger chunk, right? And what I do with the bigger chunk is I always reinvest it,
Right.
But just another way that I like to think of, okay, like I'm not necessarily getting paid for what I'm doing today. Everything, and like going back to that net worth statement, like if it's graphed out, everything that I did, the beginning portion of that on the lower left quadrant, right? It took like the stuff that I do now, I'm not getting paid for 18 to 24 months at least.
Sure.
Yep.
Usually. Now with the speed and we've shared this on other podcasts and stuff, and some of the speed that we're getting and how fast we're turning around some of these properties, we're like, it's only taking us 6, 8, 10 months. Now some of that it's compressing a little bit, but it's taking a lot of time and experience to get to that point to compress it that much. But you're still, it's everything that you're doing now. When the biggest checks that you can get is if you're going to not get paid today for what you're doing and take it on the back end. That's the biggest checks that you're going to ever be able to get.
Yep. Well, even just what I did in my former company, a lot of people watched what I did and they wanted to be a part of it. And so when they saw me leave and resign, I think it attracted a lot of people to me. Naturally, they wanted to do business with me and have me helping them along the way. So again, even just what I did back then in 2020, 2021, I'm even seeing the harvest now in this new company from that as well. So
what have you learned about being a high income earner? What have you learned about taxes? What have you had to do differently, as like your income grew a lot? And
I would definitely say, just even from that first company and seeing so many people lose everything that they built, not being super educated with their finances and taking care of, being a good steward of their income. I think that has helped me a lot, obviously too, with, you and our family. But we keep track of everything. I have a separate business card, just the basics, right? But separate business card, which I have had for years. We have a whole accounting, financing thing we do every single month. I keep my receipts, the basics. Obviously careful with, spending our money, right? But we also don't want a bunch of cash sitting in the bank. We want to keep putting that into real estate. So just being a good steward of it, tracking it, being on top of it, being in touch with our tax person. That's really important. But I wouldn't say I have learned anything.
Do you set like as you've made more money each month or whatnot, like again, you're not, when you're 1099 income, you don't have any withholding, right? So normal people that are employed, W-2, they have a withholding. So if someone's a W-2 employee and they make $20,000 a month or $10,000 a month or $3,000 a month, there's a withholding that comes out of that. They don't have to worry about coming up with money for taxes. So have you had to change how you do things knowing that you have a tax bill at the end of the year?
A little bit. Just again, I think with our money market that we have, I think we're just more on top of it than we probably ever have been. But I'll give myself some kudos because we've been pretty good with it the past couple years, especially when I started earning 6 figures with this, and then now being a 7-figure earner. But yeah, definitely setting more money aside, and then we're actually looking at possibly hiring somebody to even help us stay more on top of it, like an accountant of some sort, kind of vetting out some different people. But outside of that, just being a good steward of the money, right? And then we're not in this mindset of, oh my God, we're making all this money. Woo! It's okay. How can we put this money to work? And so we've, put some money to work already these past few weeks, past few months, and obviously more deals coming up that we want to put the money into. Because again, I have that in the back of my head, like this won't always be around. Now with, knowing the founder and the founders of the company, I really believe, in my heart of hearts that this will be around for 30 to 40 years, but at least a couple decades. It is. At least 15 to 20, at least. And so if I can max out this, help as many people as possible and use this vehicle to continue to invest in real estate, it's nowhere but up from here. So,
I mean, 20 to 30 years is a pretty good run for just traditional business.
True.
Let alone,
any business.
Yeah. Let alone in this space. It's tough. The industry promotes it as passive income, earn passive income. Man, it's just not.
Yeah.
It's just not. Compounded income, I think is way more accurate. And then you're utilizing that tool and your income to create passive income assets. Because that's where you can bridge that gap.
Yes.
Again, we don't know what's going to happen in the market. We don't know what's going to happen in the industry. We don't know what who knows, is going to trigger something that's like all of a sudden it just totally changes the game on us.
Yeah. When people ask me that question, I usually say, at least 15 years, maybe 10, unless there's like a crazy, life world event, not life event, but world event, bare minimum. So it's like, why not do as much as you can do?
I just would tell people, I tell people all the time, like, whatever you're making today, freaking
put it to work.
Yeah,
that's right.
Because like it could be tomorrow.
Yeah, it could.
You might freaking get a call tomorrow and say it's done.
Totally. Absolutely.
Like no matter what. I mean, and that's the thing about, again, when you get money and if you get it working for you, you have that principle. That principle is really not going anywhere unless you make a bad investment decision. Right. So like our real estate properties, like I have so much more control over that than anything that I'd be like a 1099 person in. And that's the whole point in this is like you know more, you have every idea what's going on. Again, it just goes back to anything that you trade any time for, anything that you're W-2 or 1099, like that should not be how you're going on a crazy vacation. That should not be how you're buying a house. It should be like the stuff that like it should be your passive cash flow. That means you have principal working for you, a dollar amount that's been invested and that's working for you and that's paying you. That's how you should be paying for your house payment. That's how you should be paying for your crazy vacation. That's how you should be paying for if you want a Lamborghini. Like it should be like 1 month of cash flow. Like pay for it in cash, and that's how it should be done in my mind.
Well, we don't have a house. We don't, we rent. That's another thing. Like we could easily go buy something and so that's something I do mentor and teach people on, like, hey, like be a good steward of what you're doing. Like, don't just go. And I think some people that I'm with now and their former experiences, they went and spent their money, were really foolish. So guiding them with that is great too. But yeah, we don't own a house.
And obviously like we could have a property that goes bankrupt. Like, but but again, I've got more insight in that, more control over that than I do where I'm an independent contractor making a big income.
Right? I mean, I had more real estate money come in last year than I was even ever making at, my first 2 companies, which was great. So, but
what do you have to do in your company if you want to 10x your income or 10x your volume again?
If you're growing and everything that you're doing is working, you have to literally go 10x that. I mean, you have to put more hours in. Let me say it this
way. How do you respond to the people that say like, I don't know any more people to talk to?
It's pretty comical.
Because maybe that's a better way.
Maybe I've told you this, but there's how many Americans first off, and then eventually we're gonna go global. There's millions of people, and so when people tell me that, I'll ask them like, okay, have you looked at your Facebook friends? Have you gone through that? Do you have a list? Have you gone through your Instagram followers? Have you looked at your phone contact list? They're like, well, no. And I'll just ask them the question. I'll straight shoot them like, okay, then you have not tapped into your network at all. So you have to really put your entrepreneur cap on. That's kind of what I tell people. Put your empire building cap on. You have to really be more intentional with what you're doing. You have to be doing the money making activities, which is what I really mentor and coach people on.
What are the money making activities?
You can't just post and hope. You can't just think, oh, everything on social media, you're just going to attract everybody in your business. You have to specifically target people and recruit people. A lot of people hate that word recruiting, but at the end of the day, you have to go and interrupt lives and target people, because 1 or 2 people that want to really run with this, blow it up, they could come in and change your business. I have people that I've helped get on board and they've brought in 50 to 200,000 in revenue in 1 month, a couple months in, just by getting them on board in my business. Right. So you have to be intentional with who you're bringing into the business, and you have to treat it. A lot of people don't understand this term when you really think about it, because they don't even know what it's like to like build a business, but you have to treat it more serious. And if you want it to pay you like a business, you got to treat it as if it was like your own business and you invested 6 figures, and you're trying to grow it. A lot of people don't realize that. And they're just kind of dabbling in things, and they're not consistent with it.
That's part of the problem too, is it's such a low barrier of entry to get in. Yep. It's like now people aren't like, if it costs you 500, 600,000, 12, whatever. I know, when I first started with Advocate, it was $3,000 and Modere was like 600.
There's no fee, but it's they can buy product they want.
Right. But, and, but like, it's just such a low barrier that if you don't have skin in the game, my name's signed on 180 $80 million of debt
Yeah.
for the real estate.
Right.
Like I got skin in
Yeah.
the game. I got some skin in the game that's going to keep me going even in times that I don't want to.
Well, also, let me just hit on this. A lot of these companies are dying and fizzling out. You know, at one point I thought the industry was dying. So with where we're at now, we do have a product that is pretty untapped in the marketplace. And so it's nice to have that competitive edge and a pretty unique business model. You know, it's a lot different than other business models, very futuristic. It's evolving with the time with affiliate marketing, influencers, the way of the world, because nowadays everyone's pretty much selling something online. And we're being thrown ads all the time. So it is important, like where you plant your flag, because my last company, I was still doing well, but I just noticed that people weren't growing as fast. It was harder to get started because collagen is kind of a thing of the past. I mean, there's so many collagen products out there nowadays, and peptides are the future. And so I will say it does kind of matter where you're at actually, and having a consumable product. You know, some people sell makeup and other products, but having a consumable product that works, that's backed, that people need to reorder every 30 days is actually really important. We have like about a 70% subscription rate as a company. You don't have to check out with Subscribe and Save, but just like Amazon, all the online stores, they have Subscribe and Save. And so people are just reordering. And so that rate is actually very high for a company. So that is important too, you know.
I was on the phone with someone last week. They're like, for you to accomplish your goals in real estate or to get to 10,000, are there even 10,000 units in Wisconsin? I'm like, dude, there's real estate all over the place. He was from, I don't know, if he's like from New York or something.
Yeah.
But it was just another, I automatically thought of the people that said, oh, I don't know anyone else. Like, oh, I know plenty of people that can sell me real estate yet to, even if I didn't look outside of Wisconsin. There's deals everywhere. Like I always see a new deal.
Yeah.
I always see a new deal. Right. And like, the thing is, if like now you're not just looking for real estate, right? Well, if I'm looking for units, if I'm looking for properties that have, 30 units, I mean, how many individuals are in there? Right. Cause like this type of business with direct sales, like you just need individuals to start with. So like one of my targets might have like, 700 of your targets. You're trying to get at, right? And so, but yeah, there's opportunity everywhere. It's just, you have to have the right mindset and the right, I think it's just positivity and viewpoint that opportunity is truly everywhere, and opportunity passes us every single day.
Yeah.
Well, every 2 weeks for sure. A lifetime of opportunity, a lifetime passes our face. We just fail to recognize it so often. So like just be on the frequency where you're able to see those opportunities and then have the courage to take advantage of them. Because then there's a lot of people that don't have the courage to do it as well. Right.
And I'd say also coachability. So the most successful reps that I have, I mean, they're very coachable. I still have, someone that was a 6-figure earner at our last company.
But you need to be coached by the person that's doing what you want to be doing.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
Because if you're listening to me and if you're listening to Dave Ramsey, you're going to be stuck in the middle. Now, if you listen to just Dave, you're probably going to have some success. If you listen to just me, you're going to have success, right? But you can't, you have to narrow. I listen to very few people. Like I hardly listen to anybody. It's almost in one ear, out the other. Because if you're not listening to the right person, then that can set you back. Or again, if you're listening to too many people, you're going to get contradicting advice when, I mean, both people could be a little bit right, but if you're listening to both and it's contradicting, you're going to be stuck in the middle and now not taking any action or, just
too many people listen to people that don't even have the life that they want.
Yeah.
Why? Go to people that have success, that have the track record, that are doing the thing. Go to them. Don't seek, opinions and advice. Don't listen to those opinions and advice. There's a lot of dream killers out there. I say that all the time because they have no idea what they're talking about. They have no idea.
Can't tell you how many times people have said, you're paying that much for that deal. And that was like 6 years ago. And I'd be like, yeah, this is what it's worth now.
Right.
They're like, oh man, well now it's too expensive. No one's going to buy that from you. I'm like, yeah, there's going to be plenty of people that'll buy it from me because they understand the game and they understand that another 7 years from now, it's going to be worth 2x, 3x what it is now. And
Yep.
And you were just talking about how there's opportunity everywhere and opportunity can pass you by on a constant basis. What about the people that struggle with the opposite? And they're always looking at opportunity and don't put enough time and effort into the right opportunity for the right time with the right efforts to actually get the results that they want. And they'll go 3, 4, 5 years, jump, 3, 4, 5 years, jump. And they're just in this constant death cycle of.
Yeah. So in my industry, there's people that do multiple companies and they're trying to do all the things.
See, I think they see a mirage, not an opportunity.
Yeah. Maybe that's what it is. But they're never going to get good at that one. They're never, ever going to be good at that one thing.
Because I think they're just trying to hop into whatever.
Yeah.
Right? And I think they see more mirages than true opportunity.
Yep.
That's what I think.
That's a good perspective. Yeah. They're just going to
They see something
mediocre
on the horizon that they think is like a bunch of gold bars stacked, and it's a mirage.
Sure.
And they just they see all this opportunity. They get excited about it early. Again, I think it's because after the first 2 weeks, it gets like a real thing gets freaking hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but is that a fault to the opportunity or not? Like when you say mirage, my brain goes to, oh, that opportunity wasn't what I expected it to be, or wasn't.
Yeah.
It didn't have the right result.
Yeah.
That's not the opportunity's fault.
Mm-hmm.
No, because I could point to a bunch of people that are having the success that you want that are in that opportunity right now and making it work and making the income that you would like to have.
Yeah.
You're just not putting in the time, the effort, the focus, or you've got, like you said, 3-4 things going and you're trying to figure out, okay, which one is it going to be?
People ask me all the time,
where I want to go.
People ask me all the time, you're going to take advantage of this office market crash. No.
Nope.
I'm honed in on what I'm doing. I'm not even, I don't even see that. I don't even see it. It's a distraction.
Right.
Right. I don't even see it. Now, like you said, it doesn't mean there's not opportunity there, because there for sure is.
Right.
But I think the difference being if I think that's a way that people can cop out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because it's next versus like taking the opportunity of like talking to this individual about what you actually have already signed up for and are moving forward in it and did believe in a week ago.
Right.
And so if you already maybe got a few no's, maybe that's why they're jumping and they just keep jumping. Because again, it's the instant gratification. And they're excited about the new thing.
They see a shiny object and they run to it. Yeah. And if they would only just focus on that one thing, they'd, do way better than all the dabbling.
Maybe they don't see the mirage. Maybe they do see the ultimate vision. Again, 30 years down the line, but again, they can't put the work in. And so they just keep hopping and hopping and hopping.
So, I mean, you've done real estate for how long?
13 years.
13 years.
I started learning about it in 2009. I bought my first property in 2013. So I would really consider that 17 years, because like I was looking at property from 09 to 13. I was learning. I was reading. I was in college. Right. I mean, 2009. I was a sophomore in college, doing a lot of reading, skipping classes to read my own books. Mm-hmm. So I count that as 17.
Part of your education.
17 years.
Right. And you've been doing network marketing for 13.
They're just over 13. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I didn't finish college because of soccer and I had knee surgeries. So played D1 soccer and then had a bunch of knee injuries. And I'll say my brother was one of the very few people that supported me
for not graduating.
Well, yeah, you were because I was building navigators.
Right.
I was learning more in my classes, reading Grant Cardone's books and going to these events and here I am. So, yeah.
I mean, some of the most successful people, they're not the smartest person. Right. Like Elon Musk aside, Elon Musk, literally a rocket scientist, but like, I mean, well, he self-educated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not there's a lot of people that make a lot of money and get to live the life that they've always dreamt of, doing the most boring business over and over and over again. I had a buddy that didn't go to college. He started mowing lawns. He's been on, Nate Rogers. He's been on our podcast. He started mowing lawns the spring of our senior year, and everyone's like, Nate, have fun mowing lawns the rest of your life. And it was kind of funny, I mean, and they were all friends, right? Yeah. It's not like they were truly trying to pick them, maybe a little bit, but I don't know. But, well, it's turned into whatever they're doing, 4 or 5, 6, whatever $1 million a year. And he's been doing it for, well, he started in 2008, so he's been almost doing it for 20 years now, and they've been doing so. I mean, the amount of revenue they've done in 20 years, I bet they've probably averaged $3 million. I mean, it's done $60 million of revenue from lawn mowing that turned into landscape, hardscape, and really pretty boring business, right? I mean, a business that's been around forever, not having to like reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, it's doing it really is doing those things just repetitively. It's the micro decisions you make every single day over time. I think some people think, oh, like they're so successful. What are they doing that's so special?
Freaking work.
Literally putting the work
Courage,
in.
Grit, being scrappy, working.
Yeah. Like I it's pretty crazy like how some people let things get to them, let them stop them, the excuses that they can make. And I think it's a cop out. Like they just want something to point at when typically it's themselves. They have to look themselves in the mirror. And if their business is stagnant or not growing, it's because they're not bringing in new business. At the end of the day, you still got to bring new business.
There's days I got to kick myself in the ass too, because but the difference is like I might have an off hour, but I don't let it turn into an off 3 hours 3 days,
Quit for an
1
hour,
week,
they say.
1 month. You know, the period of time that it takes me to turn something around when I get in a funk is quick, because I'm gonna go take action right away. Like if I'm feeling down or depressed, I'll go empty the dishwasher. Now I just completed something, and that even like just completing something and finishing something like helps push the needle forward. Like if you're in a funk, like the easiest, go pick up the dog crap in the backyard,
right,
and complete it.
Right.
Go pull the weeds in the backyard. Even if you have someone that mows your lawn, like we have someone that mows our lawn, takes care of our lawn, sprays the weeds. Like there's days I'm in a funk. I see weeds, I'm gonna go pull them. I complete the I complete the task, and that right there just starts to guide me again to where I need to be.
Right.
Yeah. One thing I learned too. So if you're a millionaire, your value per hour. So if you're making $1 million a month, or I'm sorry,
Well, there's a difference
$1 million
between a millionaire and someone making $1 million
I'm
in a
sorry.
year.
So if you're making $1 million in a year, so your value per hour is $500. So correct me if I'm wrong.
Hold on. How are you calculating this? How are you calculating this off of? What are you calculating off?
So if
you
I
said
make
$500.
So if I make $1 million this year from my company.
So if you gross $1 million in revenue.
I can't remember the
$1 million divided by 500. $1 million divided by 500, that means 2,000 hours. So right now you're just talking about like working. A full-time person has like 2,080 hours, I think, right?
Right.
That they
So
work
think
in a year.
about, so my point of what I'm saying is your value per hour,
Yes,
right?
right.
Like focusing on what moves the needle.
Yeah.
It is fun to do it 24/7, 365 though, not just.
I know. Because I'm trying to remember what that is based on. I can't remember right now.
It's closer to the like full-time job, 40 hours a week.
Yeah, I think so. But that's what you're just saying, like hiring things out, delegating. And I do have a list every day that I work from. The top 3 to 5 things are like what I have to get done. And I think some people are trying to do a billion things, all the things, and they're not doing things that really move the needle.
I haven't done it in a long time, but I used to do that all the time.
Yeah,
and I would figure it out on 2,080 hours a year. I would figure it out on how many hours I actually worked. How many hours I actually worked which is like 80 to 90 to 100 and whatever. But then I also would do it 24/7, 365 to figure it out.
I would like to know. Yeah.
So
I
if you
can't
do
remember.
24/7, 365, you'd take $1 million, because money never sleeps. $1 million divided by 24 times 24/7 times 365. That'd be $16.30 per hour. No, 24/7, 360. Yeah, per hour. So it'd be $16.30 per hour. But that again, that's 24/7.
24 hour, yeah.
24/7. Which is how I like to think about it. But what I used to do is I always used to count my cash flow, earned income, 1099 income.
Sure.
And also I would
income.
include how much principal I paid down every single month or year. And I would do that all the time to figure it out.
Yep.
And I'm like, dang. Like, and that's like what got me to the point is like, I should really never mow my lawn again. And I never did.
Right.
I never have. I haven't mowed my lawn in, I don't remember.
Yeah.
I haven't ever mowed my lawn where I live now. Or the last place I lived at, right? But because I'm doing this, I think about that all the time.
Yeah, your time is valuable.
Did you have more you were going to go with that?
I was just going to say a lot of people, don't realize like if they're building, like they just don't either prioritize their time well. They don't know what to really be focused on during those hours when they are working their businesses. And so that was just something I wanted to bring up because I really think about like where I spend my time.
Well,
I automate
Rich
things.
Summers, shout out Rich. I know you're going to be on the podcast at some point. I don't know if you listen or not, but Rich has a post he talks about all the time. If you're the person that gets up on a Saturday morning to go sit in the line at Costco because you're going to save, I don't know how much you save at Costco. I don't know if it's 3 cents or 10 cents or 30 cents, whatever, on gas. He's like, when you actually do the math of sitting in line for 20 minutes or whatever, you're putting your value at $6 an hour, I think is what he says.
Yep.
Right. But again, most people, like Sarah was just saying, most people don't put a value on their time. And I actually think that even if you make $1 million, and if you take the 40 hours a week and whatever, where it's $500 an hour, I still think at that point, that's just like a break even point in my mind, because you can never get time back. You can always go make more money.
Right.
So like really you should multiply that by 2 or 3 or 4, because like that's just like a break even.
Right.
That's not like, for me, like I don't get excited about my masterminds even that we sell out, and it's like a 2-day thing. Obviously we have to sell tickets throughout, but like if it's a $200,000 event for 2 days, people are like, oh, you make $100,000 a day doing that. I'm like, but the thing is, it's earned income. It's 1099 income. I want to take that and convert it and get it working for me 24/7, 365. Because I have to show up there and take 2.5 days of my time and trade it to get the 200.
Well, and
right?
it's not even that. It's how much are you prepping? How much time do you have invested in the making the phone calls and setting up the restaurant or the whatever?
So
that's a lot.
So
it's a lot of time.
So if I'm not happy with $200,000 over, let's just say 36 hours, that's $5,500 an hour. I'm not. I don't like it because I'm trading my time. I do not want to trade my time. So then, really, like if I take them, if I make $1 million, $3 million, $5 million, whatever it is, right, and divide it by that time period, you need to multiply that number by like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, how much ever you value. Like, because there needs to be more value weighted towards time than money.
Right.
Well said. I agree. Really well said.
People don't think about.
Yeah, that's good.
And I think that the added to that is just because you replace someone mowing your lawn, it's what are you doing with the time that you bought back?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, okay, cool. I've got someone who's mowing my lawn that bought me back an hour, and now I'm not going to do anything with that hour, and I'm going to relax.
This is
okay. You're missing it now.
This is what I mean. This is what I mean though by the time. Like you need to have a multiple on that because time is should be weighted. It should be skewed more to the time. Because if you ask the person who's dying at 92 years old, they would pay whatever to go back to be 21,
right,
22, 23, 24. Like they'd pay whatever, 30, whatever. Maybe it was like when they first started having kids. So maybe it'd be like 30. They would pay whatever. You couldn't put. So that's why it's like, why right now? Just because we are like that. That's even more reason that there needs to be a multiplier on that time as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm even looking at revamping, kind of where I put my time to get to that next level. And that's important too, that self-reflection, where you are putting your time, and kind of reevaluating that as you grow.
Well, and I think the multiplier, I'm thinking about this multiplier thing as well, is because like what I'm doing today as well is not paying me for the future. And so again, like that's another reason to multiply it.
Right.
Because that is not going to be the same as it is like 3 years from now. And if I have that mindset around money that, okay, what I'm doing today, I'm not truly getting paid for. That's also another, I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense, but it needs to be skewed more towards time.
Yeah.
Never getting it back. You can always you can always find a way to make $1 million. You can. Yep. You can find a way to make $1 million. You can find a way to make 400,000. You can find a way to make another 20.
Yep.
You might find some on the street. You're not going to find any more time on the side of the street that you can pick up, put in your pocket.
Yeah, like that.
Anyway.
That was good.
Joel,
good stuff.
What other questions, comments, thoughts?
I guess the only other comment that came up is I keep hearing that quote in my head where it's most people overestimate what they can accomplish in 1 to 2 years, but drastically underestimate what they can do in 10. And it just it just re-hits that intentional focus on the right opportunity at the right time for the right amount of time. You give up in 2 years, you give up in a year. That's just not producing what I want. It's just not producing what I want. Yep. It's a time.
And sometimes people quit kind of right before that breakthrough moment or that harvest season too. I have seen that. I have seen that too.
I've mentioned this podcast quite a bit. The Founders Podcast. They mention one of the most successful oil tycoons ever. Can't remember his name. But I think he started in like 1925 or something like that. Well, he drilled like 25 or 29. He drilled 25 to 29 times, something like that. 0 for didn't hit one. The very next one was the one that started gushing like 1,800 or 18,000. It was some astronomical number, 18,000 barrels a day or something of oil, right? Which like in a matter of, they then put it in perspective, like how long it took to like recoup all the losses from the previous ones just from that one well that he hit on. And it was like, I don't know, 6 months time or something like that or less than that. But like, that's the thing is he could have been done after number 29, not knowing 30
That's exactly
was the one that was going to hit. Right. But he kept going and kept going. And there's so many people that don't even get to 2, let alone 29 or 290 or 390.
Yeah. That's just like in my industry with recruiting or bringing people on board. Like, could be that next person or that person that you need to follow up with or that person that you are connected with. It can change your business for sure. So that's good. Just like a real estate deal.
Absolutely.
So we have a thing on the podcast and actually what we're talking about. So I read the question. So what we do on the podcast is we always have the previous guest ask a question to the next guest without knowing who they are.
Okay.
And then, so for us, we'll ask from last guests.
Yeah.
We'll ask you their question and then you'll have a question for us to ask the next. And I was reading it before you came in, and I was like, man, I just don't even know how this works. I don't know if this really applies. I'm just like, it doesn't really make sense for what she does. But as we discuss over the last like 15, 20 minutes, I'm like, okay, I'm really interested to see how you're going to answer this, because I think it actually fits a lot better than what I was ready for. So the last guest asks, is there a skilled position that you could hire for right now that would double your income?
Let's see here. I could probably use an assistant. Just in general, my own personal assistant. My husband helps me with my business. He helps with all of like the back end stuff. It's been a game changer. Anything that I kind of need that I shouldn't spend time on, but I could use somebody that does my social media, more of that stuff, helps me create that content. Once in a while, I'll hire out some of that stuff, but I need either a part-time or full-time assistant to delegate even more. Talk about that delegation stuff, which is important. So that'd be it right there.
Yeah.
So it's important to have people to help you and do things that they're good at, pay that money out so I can go and double my business and beyond. Right. So it's a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, again, though, the thing is you're saying a part-time. Well, it sounds to me like if we take you make $1 million a year,
I know, right?
500, now multiply that by a couple, then it's like, okay, well, really, I need 12 assistants. Right? Like,
yeah. Seriously though. Like there's definitely some things still now I should not be doing, spend my time on.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What's your question for the next guest?
Let me think here. Man. What's the hardest thing you've ever faced in your career, and how'd you get through it?
I don't think we've had that one yet.
Mm-mm.
Who's the next guest? Dun, dun, dun.
Can't tell you. He played pro soccer. Just retired.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, played 3 or 4 years. I think he's the next one. Nick's the next one, I think. But
cool. Awesome.
Well, baby sister, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thanks, big brother.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Hope
you guys enjoyed.
Thanks, you guys, for listening. We'll talk to you next time.
Bye.